Welcome to ONNPoint. It's Tuesday morning, January 14th. We're live on ON-TV and live on Facebook. This morning we continue with our series of women in leadership roles, and Jennifer Rushton's the Vice President of Lottery and Gaming for PQA and Plato Testing. Jen will join me right after these commercial messages.
This is On TV.
Hi, can I take your order? Hello?
Oh, hey. Wait, what was the question?
Let me guess. One driving high combo, extra baked?
No. Could I get a burger with a side of fries?
Think you're a better driver when you're high? Think again. If you smoked weed, wait at least 4 hours before getting behind the wheel, or don't drive at all if you're new to it, have eaten it, or if you've mixed it with alcohol.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
Imagine knowing about incidents, closures, and roadwork all before starting your trip. Ontario 511 lets you know before you go. You can get real-time information directly from the Ministry of Transportation, because the more you know, the easier it is for you to go. And spend the time doing the things that matter most.
Welcome back to ONNPoint for a Tuesday morning. I'm Andy Martins. Thanks for staying with us. We're live on ON-TV and live on Facebook as we continue our series of women in leadership positions. And my next guest, Jennifer Rushton, is a great example of that. She's Vice President of Lottery and Gaming for Plato and PQA Testing. And thank you so much, Jen, for making time this morning to talk to us here live on ON-TV.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really thrilled to be here, Andy.
No problem, Jen. Why don't we start with this, with your background and how you came and how you arrived in Sault Ste. Marie like I did 30 years ago. You haven't been here quite that long, but you've had a wonderful career so far. So why don't you tell us about it?
That's right. I am not a Sault Ste. Marie native. However, I do consider myself, excuse me, I do consider myself a Saultite now. My background is in the lottery and gaming industry. I started in the industry almost 20 years ago, working primarily on the supply side to the industry, working in within organizations that supply products and services to the lottery and gaming industry globally. Back in 2014, I was representing a company who was approached by the Economic Development Group at the time here in the Soo in part of their outreach to the lottery and gaming industry under their initiative to diversify the lottery and gaming sector here in the Soo. Mm-hmm. And as part of that outreach, representing my company at the time, I came up to the Soo from Southern Ontario and met with certain businesses and talked to some of the stakeholders in the community. And we decided that there wasn't a really strong business case for our company at the time to open an office in the Soo. But I connected with the community on a personal level, and I brought my husband and my kids up a couple months later, and we toured through the area. We went out to Gros Cap, and we went north of the city up to Pancake Bay, and we saw and met with wonderful people and saw beautiful things and really immersed ourselves in the environment. And we made a personal decision that we were going to relocate from Barrie, Ontario up to Sault Ste. Marie, and haven't really looked back since. It's been a really wonderful experience. On the professional side of things, I spent a few years working with the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Centre under the Up Lottery and Gaming project with industry leaders like Ian Plumley and Kevin Hemsworth to attract and grow some of the businesses here in Sault Ste. Marie that are involved in that lottery and gaming cluster. And about a year ago, just over a year ago now, I took on my current role as Vice President of Lottery and Gaming for PQA and Plato testing.
Right. And having been with OLG for 31 years, I know how important testing is for the lottery industry, but it's important for a lot of other industries as well.
It absolutely is. So we, here in Sault Ste. Marie, we're developing a center of excellence in lottery and gaming software testing because there's such a concentration of lottery and gaming expertise and a number of businesses that participate in the lottery and gaming sector here regionally. That being said, we work with a number of different clients here in Sault Ste. Marie and in a number of different industry verticals. We work in the finance sector, the resource industry. We work in oil and gas, digital media. We work in a lot of different industries across our 9 offices throughout Canada.
Wonderful. And we were talking before the broadcast, your message to companies and message to the community about all of this. Why don't you tell the viewers what we were talking about earlier?
Sure, Andy. It's really important to the community to understand that, there are businesses that are coming into our community, and you may not be familiar with them right off the hop. But we are doing good things, and we are providing employment to the local community and members of the workforce locally. And we're also going to be working with groups like Future Sault Ste. Marie under the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program to bring in some newcomers to the region to help support our growth and become members of, contributing members of our community. To the business community, I will say, I'm going to be reaching out to you. I hope you'll answer my call or respond to my email. We are providing software testing services, and there are a handful of organizations and companies here in the Soo and in Northern Ontario that are either users of or developers of software, and you have software testing needs, and it would be really fantastic if we could find a way to work together so that you're supporting us locally, we're supporting you locally, and we can make sure that your software is tested.
Exactly, and am I right there, Jen, that especially financial software packages are important to be tested, are they not? Because nothing is 100% these days.
Nothing is 100%. When software isn't tested, it poses a risk. It poses a financial risk. It poses a risk to an organization's credibility and to their brand presence. In very extreme cases, it can pose a risk to life. There are examples that I can give, one being Air China back in 1994. They had a flight that crashed, and it killed all 264 passengers on board. And the investigation after the crash showed that the reason that the flight crashed was as a result of a software malfunction. There are other examples that reference financial loss to organizations or even to governments. A satellite back in 2004, a military satellite that was set to be launched and could not launch as a result of software failure, cost the military $1.2 billion.
Right, and Boeing MAX 8, but we won't talk about that. We could do a whole show on that. But you're right, companies need to see that really the money that they spend on software testing is a small piece of their overall cost. It really pays for itself.
It absolutely does. It mitigates the risk. So software testing is really about identifying risks, identifying inconsistencies in the software, and helping ensure that the software is developed in a way that the user expects. So when I go on to my mobile banking app and I transfer $1,000 from my savings account to my checkings account, that it's actually being transferred and it's not being sent to you, Andy.
That's right, exactly. Funny you mention that, because I am still today's not really comfortable with using my mobile app to do banking. It's a funny thing, and maybe that testing and the conceptions is all part of that.
It absolutely is. So there is a component of user testing or user experience testing, in which we will put a team of testers onto a software or a mobile app to ensure that the flow of the software is as we as the user would expect it to be.
Right, and our banks, the leading companies in Canada or North America that have their software tested, I would think they need to be one of the top 10.
You know, the finance industry, finance and insurance industry, the lottery and gaming industry, the oil and gas industry, we're all users of software, and as a result, there's a massive need for software testing services across Canada and globally.
Right. Why don't you talk to us now about your importance of testing partnerships within this community and within Canada? It really begins and ends with partnerships.
It really does. So our approach, and I might actually take a step back if you don't mind, Andy. So,
okay, no problem.
So PQA, or Professional Quality Assurance, is an industry leader in software testing. We were established over 20 years ago by our founder and CEO, Keith McIntosh. And at the time, Keith launched PQA to address the growing need for software testing services in Canada, and also to provide job creation in his home province of New Brunswick. In 2015, Keith launched Plato testing after participating in the Governor General's Leadership Development Conference. And our approach there is to train and employ Indigenous people as software testers. And we're doing that by partnering with Indigenous communities across Canada. And we're also partnering with corporate Canada to help provide work to ensure that that the software testers that we're training have a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning when they show up to the office every day.
Wonderful. Stay right there, Jen. We'll take a couple of commercial messages. We'll be right back on ONNPoint.
Angelo, it's me, Vito. Imbecile, your brother. Listen, you bring 10 gallons of flat eggshell white paint.
Recently, the Government of Ontario established a $100 million affordability fund to help Ontarians who don't qualify for low-income conservation programs ease the burden of their electricity bill. Whether you rent or own your home, as long as you pay your electric bill, you could qualify. There are 3 levels of support available. The first is a home energy kit with upgrades like smart power bars and LED light bulbs. The second includes Energy Star appliances that help keep things cool during the hot summer months. The third is for electrically heated homes so that your power bills don't break the bank during those long Canadian winters. Plus, all upgrades, including installation, are completely free of charge. Visit affordabilityfund.org or call 1-855-494-FUND to find out if you qualify.
If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, there is hope and there is help. You matter. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The calls are free and confidential. Call 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. You are not alone.
Welcome back to On Point. I'm glad you're with us. I'm Andy Martins. We're live on Facebook, live on ONTV, and with me is Jennifer Rushton, the Vice President of Lottery and Gaming for PQA and Plato Testing. Welcome back to On Point, Jen.
Thanks, Andy.
Before the break, we were talking about partnerships. Let's talk about the biggest partnership and the importance of it with Indigenous community. This really needed to happen.
It absolutely did, Andy. Indigenous youth are one of the fastest growing demographics across Canada. These are young people who are full of life, full of potential, and going through elementary and high school. In Northern Ontario as a whole, the career path toward opportunities in the IT sector don't really appear viable. We may go to elementary school and high school here in Sault Ste. Marie. We may even attend Sault College or Algoma University, but so many of our local youth are moving outside of the city to take on careers and to pursue their dream in IT. And so part of what we're doing here regionally in Sault Ste. Marie in Northern Ontario is providing opportunities for everyone to participate in the IT sector. Our approach, again, is to train and employ Indigenous people. We provide a 6-month training, an in-class training session that is delivered locally here in Sault Ste. Marie or at any of our 9 offices across Canada.
Right.
Following that 6-month in-class training, we engage in internship placements. And those internship placements are typically 2 to 3 months in duration. And on successful completion of the 6 months in-class training plus the internship activity, we guarantee employment to our students who have graduated at our office here in Sault Ste. Marie. And this activity, this initiative would not be possible without the support and partnerships we've developed with the local Indigenous community, that being Métis Nation of Ontario, Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, other First Nations in the Northern Ontario region, as well as our business partners.
It's wonderful. It's such a big social impact of doing this versus not doing it. It's really big.
Well, that statement sounds pretty simple, doing it versus not doing it, but It's really easy to just not do it. And our founder and CEO, Keith McIntosh, is really passionate about making a difference. And from my perspective, he's setting an example. We're creating an opportunity, or a pathway or a bridge, if you will, for corporate Canada to take steps toward reconciliation.
Right.
But we're also setting an example. Other companies can do what we're doing. You can create partnerships with Indigenous communities, and you can provide employment opportunities. Or as a procurement team, you can develop procurement policies to ensure that you are bringing in a certain percentage of Indigenous content into your supply chain. These are decisions that are made at the executive level, and like you said, Andy, you either do or you don't, and it's a decision that needs to be made on an individual basis.
Exactly. Now, in case any one of the viewers are wondering, the cost, I'm assuming, for these trainees for the testing course is paid with the Indigenous community or the funding that people come forward with. It isn't charged to the individual, to the community.
We are able to offset or cover the cost of the training through our partnerships. That's right, Andy.
Wonderful, yeah, and you've probably had some really good students graduate who do an excellent job with testing after graduating from the course.
The value that our testers in Sault Ste. Marie are bringing to our organization is absolutely incredible. Back in February of 2019, we launched our first software tester training program that was delivered at Sault College through a partnership that we've developed there. And these individuals they went through their training, they went through their internships. We had great support through internship sponsors with 4 organizations here in the Soo, OLG, Algoma Steel, the Sault Ste. Marie Innovation Center, and Insight Works Learning and Development Platform. And so our interns, or our students interned at each of these organizations for a 2-month period, and then they came back to our office and we offered them full-time employment. They're still working with us today. We're based at Station Tower. Right. We have a huge office and we're looking to grow.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's good for Sault Ste. Marie, and that leads me to my next point. The flexibility of the Plato model to enable talent attraction and retention is there. It's happening before our eyes.
It absolutely is happening, Andy. We are flexible in the sense that we can tailor our curriculum to the needs of the individual students. So when we go into a community and we start to promote our software tester training program, we intake students, and we have a number of applicants, and we review those, and we bring into the class the best of the best, and the best of the best might be someone who has worked in the IT industry before. But it might just be a recent high school graduate who has a keen interest for learning and considers themselves a problem solver. So those are the types of candidates that we're looking for our next training session that starts in May of this year.
And the opportunities are coming in 4 or 5 months again, and you'll start it up. What about the impact of government support? This is so critical to have all levels of government on board, isn't it?
When Plato was considering Sault Ste. Marie as a potential location to expand and operate, we received tremendous support from all 3 levels of government. The business community was very supportive. There are agencies in our community through the Innovation Center and the Up Lottery and Gaming team, and through the Economic Development Group and Future Sault Ste. Marie, who really act as a concierge service to businesses that are looking to potentially relocate and ensure that transition is as seamless as possible. So that is one type of government support. There's also financial support. There are financial incentives to companies like ours who are looking to relocate and create and create jobs and stimulate the local economy. There's also support through policy. So the Prime Minister's mandate letters that were released in December of 2019 reference improving the digital capacity and increasing participation of Indigenous suppliers in their procurement. Those types of mandates indirectly support businesses like ours.
Right. And the immigration project that is launched, and Sault Ste. Marie was on the leading edge of that might further help the Plato mission statement.
It certainly does. It really expands the talent pool from which we can draw. We are actively working with Future Sault Ste. Marie to help bring in some more experienced candidates from outside our immediate geographic region to help support our growth here in the Soo.
Right, and the trend is also a lot of people are working from home. Again, Lisa Vazo-Allen and others at City Council have brought those ideas up. You really don't need to be in Toronto and to work in Sault Ste. Marie. You can do it remotely.
You don't need to be when you're working in the IT industry, you don't necessarily need to be in any specific geographic region. The infrastructure that we have here in Northern Ontario really supports that approach. Individuals working from home or from more remote regions are more connected now than ever. One of the things that we're seeing, one of the trends that we see in the IT industry and specifically in software testing is major corporations across Canada and the US are sending their software testing work overseas. They're sending it to places like India and China. If India and China can deliver software testing services to a company, that's based in central Canada or in southwest US, there's no reason that those same companies can't be sending work to places like Sault Ste. Marie or to Regina or to Vancouver.
Right, our time is almost up, boy. Why did we wait so long to do this in Sault Ste. Marie? It was a brilliant idea.
Well, it was about 2.5 years of footwork and exploration on the part of our executive team, Keith McIntosh and Denis Carignan, to look into the opportunity and develop the business case for having an office here in the Soo, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of it.
Jen, you've been an ideal, true delightful guest. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Andy.
All right, I'll be back to wrap up On Point after these commercial messages.
Angelo, it's me, Vito. Imbecile, your brother. Listen, you bring 10 gallons of flat eggshell white paint.
In your home, lighting is just as important as style.
With PowerView Motorization from Hunter Douglas, you can schedule your shades to light up the room, create privacy, or both, automatically. No hands required.
So your shades will always be in the right place at the right time in style. And it's only from Hunter Douglas.
This past year we've been celebrating our 65th anniversary, dating back to services originating in our community in 1954, which is quite some time ago. It's been a great opportunity this past year to recognize the pioneers, the stakeholders that worked tirelessly to create what we are today. I'm grateful for everything that the families 65 years ago and the people that assembled the organization have done in order for us to achieve the success that we're experiencing 65 years later.
Welcome back to On Point. I'm glad you've enjoyed the show with Jennifer Rushton. We've been live on Facebook, live on TV. Next week, Connie Rayner Elliott makes her first appearance on Point Monday, and Tara Burrell from Algoma University on Tuesday. Until then, Andy Martins for On Point. Have a great week. We'll see you later.